Hey, Black Belt Pops here. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been uncomfortable in your training environment, whether it's with a partner in your own school or perhaps someone you don't know at a seminar? Well, we're going to take a look at that and see how we can make that uncomfortable comfortable. Be right back. In Taekwondo, as well as any martial art, we may find ourselves in a situation that might make us uncomfortable. Because we have advanced students, we have novice students, and just about anything in between that we're on the mat with at any one time. And it's totally possible that we could find ourselves in a situation where we don't know exactly how to handle it, and it might make us uncomfortable. An example might be a new white belt who is sparring with a black belt. Their reaction to that may be, "Oh my God, I'm going to get killed." Or the black belt who is sparring with that white belt maybe have the same idea, because white belts are sometimes the most dangerous people in the room because they haven't learned control, they haven't learned to control themselves, and they haven't gotten in the swing of things, so to speak. We may be practicing more hands-on techniques like wrist releases or grab releases, more self-defense oriented stuff. And a smaller person may be paired with a bigger person and thinking, how am I going to do with this wrist release against this giant that I've been paired with? And this kind of thing can cause a lot of stress. And also training with a different gender can be a moment of stress. I know that in my experience, when I first started training in the 1980s, being a Southern gentleman, so to speak, and brought up to respect women and all that kind of stuff, caused me a real problem when I walked into the training hall and sparred with a lady for the first time. Because here is this lady who I've been brought up to respect and hold in high esteem, and she's trying to kick me in the head. And that kind of left me in a brain lock for a while until I learned how to control the whole thing. So all these reactions are totally understandable. We're brought up to respect each other's space, so to speak, and what is appropriate is governed by relationship, familiarity, and that's exactly as it should be. We should hold everybody in respect to each other the way we do. So how do we handle these situations that may conflict with our preconceived conceptions of what our safe space is? So how do we all just get along in our martial arts journey? First, I think it's important to realize that there are benefits to being mismatched. It's like in sports. I remember when I was playing tennis back when I was growing up, the only times I really improved was when I was playing someone who was better than I was. Same play when I started to wrestle in high school. The times when I gained the most from my training was when I was being challenged by someone who was better than I was. And so it's important to realize that this mismatch is not an end all. It's not something to run away from. Actually, it's something to be sought out. So while putting my notes together, I ran into a friend of mine. Her name is Kim Reese, and she practices Brazilian Ju-jitsu at Art of Motion Ju-jitsu here near my house. And I couldn't think of a more extreme example of what I'm talking about here because I know for a fact that Kim rolls with both men and women. And for those of you who might not know, rolling is a term that Ju-jitsu practitioners use for sparring when they're on the mat and they're doing their Ju-jitsu thing on the mat. So I asked Kim about it, and she said that it was definitely an awkward thing at first. The differences that we have between the sexes and things like that, it makes that kind of a thing awkward. It's awkward for everybody. I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't be awkward with it at first. But she said that through respect and cooperation and consideration that it became the awkwardness went away. And she added that she benefited greatly from it because, after all, who is she more likely to be attacked by in a parking lot or while she's out jogging than a guy? It was important for her to feel that the power difference and learn how to handle that. So she really valued that that disparaging conflict that she had when she was rolling with guys. So to her, practicing with stronger and partners gives her the familiarity with what it might be like if she was actually attacked. But in regards to this particular blog or vlog, she really hit the nail on the head when she said respect and cooperation being the key to making this whole dynamic comfortable for everybody involved. So how might we assure that our training, even in awkward situations, can be beneficial to everyone? Okay, so that being said, you're sparring with a partner who is lower rank than you or of less skill than you. Don't crush them and stomp all over them. That's just going to make them leave the school, and that's not what we want. Spar with them enough or work with them enough to give them a chance to improve. I'm not saying don't push them. Absolutely, push them a little bit, but don't push them out the door. Work with them on developing their skills. Teach them how to defend a little bit. Have a little fun with it. And at the same time, you can work on your skills as well. You can work on identifying their tails, like knowing when they're going to throw a round kick or throw a side kick or whatever. So you can help identify that in your upper level sparring sessions. You can work on your footwork, your movement, making them do what you want them to do, which are all part of the skills that we want to learn if we're going to spar competitively and have a good time with it. And working at it that way, you both come out feeling good and you feel like you've accomplished something. So check your ego at the door, and remember that person, even though they may be of lesser rank and lesser skill than you, is your training partner. Communicate with them. You know, I might like to try this. Are you game for that? And if not, then work it around so that both of you are happy. Make it so both of you get something out of it. Slow down and build intensity as you both become comfortable with each other. Now, I personally like training with the colored belts. I'm almost 62 years old. I'm getting older, and my focus in my martial arts journey is changing from that of a competitor to that of a teacher. I enjoy the instructing. It gives me a chance to slow down and pass on what I have learned. They gain insight from it. I hone my skills, and every now and then, hey, I learn something from them. It's amazing how that happens. It's a win-win, and it just doesn't get any better than that. So let's turn it around just a little bit. You're sparring with someone who is a lot better than you, or you're training with someone who is a lot better than you. Take advantage of that, okay? It's an opportunity for you to grow and get better, because you're not going to get better unless somebody pushes you a little bit. So if you find yourself totally overwhelmed or you're not uncomfortable, take time, stop, talk to your partner about it. Hey, let's slow down just a little bit. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Or I really like that last move. Can you show it to me? Or in some cases, when I'm, sparring with the people in my studio, the upper level black belts and the couple of people who've been national champions and things like that, and they kick me in the head, I say, stop, what did you do and how might I defend that better? And they're always willing to back off, slow down, and give me an idea of what I did that opened that up, or how I might be able to defend that better, or better yet, how I may be able to pull that off against somebody else. So this communication is extremely important and is the key to you both gaining something from your training encounter. So I'm constantly on the lookout, not only to be able to help somebody better themselves, but also opportunities for me to get better itself. And that can happen no matter whether you're sparring someone who is a lot better than you or a lot less skilled than you. There's opportunities there for you to get better. So in the end, what it all comes down to is a little bit of courtesy and respect for your training partner. Regardless of size, skill, or gender, before training, have a meeting of the minds. Communicate to your training partner what you're working on, what you want to work on, what they're working on, and come to a meeting of the minds of how we might just do this, whatever it is, sparring, self-defense techniques, whatever, in a way that we both can benefit out of it. So one of us doesn't come away with a huge ego saying, yeah, I stomped him into the ground, or coming away saying, God, he stomped me in the ground, I never want to train with him again. That's a horrible outcome to a training session of any kind, whether it's sparring or whatever it happens to be. So check with your partner, and little communication goes a long, long way. So in summing this up, you will run into people in your school, at tournaments, perhaps in real life, that are bigger and stronger than you. And it will be of immeasurable benefit to you in the long run to have training in dealing with that. So do not be afraid to train with people who are bigger, higher ranked, better than you, or stronger than you, because that is when you'll really grow. You just need to communicate with them, let them know what your needs are, and talk about their needs, and I'm sure that you can find a midpoint where you both can gain something out of it. There's just way too much benefit in that to ignore, and over time, you'll gain trust, and what once was awkward will now become calm and satisfying, and that's an amazing thing that will benefit everyone. So just remember, be nice, have fun, and engage, take some responsibility for your training, either to step it up or back it up for somebody else. And it's all about respect, which is the number one thing that martial arts is really about. It's at the top of the list of all the tenets, bywords, and everything that we have in martial arts. It starts with courtesy or respect, and that's the key. So until next time, taekwon. This is Black Belt Pops. I hope you enjoyed this first installment of into the Black Belt Pops channel. I ask you to subscribe if you want to, and you'll get notifications when I post something else. I plan on trying to post something about once a week to begin with. And like I said, thanks for hanging out with me, and feel free to put your comments. Anything, a suggestion for another blog. I am hungry for topics, people. So give them to me. I love it. Taekwon. Bye.